Today is our 12th reading in our journey through Psalm 22. Today we're focusing in on verse 13. They open wide their mouths at me like a ravening and roaring lion. There's an evil power at work at Calvary to get Jesus killed. This evil power of Satan has been trying to kill Jesus for years. The devil attacked Jesus in the Judean wilderness, trying to trick him into taking a spiritual shortcut to power and fame. The gospel tells us that when the devil gave up on these failed attacks, he withdrew to a more opportune time. And there were other opportune times to come, for sure. There was the first sermon Jesus preached in Nazareth. It was so startling and offensive to the hearers that they rushed Jesus to the edge of a cliff to throw him over, but he slipped through their grasp. There was a dangerous storm on the Sea of Galilee that might have been used by the devil to drown him, but he calmed it. And Jesus was politically wise. So when the religious or the political heat was high and authorities were out to find and arrest him, he would withdraw for a time. He was not afraid of the devil. He confronted him by name. He cast him out and away many times. He exercised his superior over him and exercised him away from others time and time again. And Jesus knew that his adversary would be most likely to try to take him on in Jerusalem, the center of religious and local political power. But Jesus would take the devil on at a time and place of our Lord's own choosing. Until then, the forces of evil were poisoning the people and priests. In this verse, the psalm compares them to people around the cross as lions, with open mouths that are hungry, that roar like lions. The animal metaphors in this verse and the previous one are very telling, and they give us further insight into the heart of Jesus and what he's feeling. First, there were the horned oxen. These beasts pull sleds of heavy material and stone. They were instrumental in moving the stones of the temple. There would have been hundreds of these around Jerusalem. And then there were the strong, fat bulls of Bashan, which we have been told that are huge. They're fat. They're well fed. They stamp their hooves and charge. They're dangerous. And lastly, here are the hungry lions. They're the most vicious of all. When the Bible gives a specific warning about Satan, it describes him in the form of a lion. Peter, who knew personally the power of the devil, would later write to the scattered Christians of the early church, "Be sober, be watchful. Your adversary, the devil, is prowling around like a roaring lion. Resist him firm in your faith." These three animal metaphors tell us something about the nature of evil that we should know. Indeed, these two verses can serve as a final warning about the evil that is coalesced around the cross. There are types of evil that, like the ox, will slowly and steadily push and pull us into sin. There is a kind of evil, like the strong, fat bulls, that can charge or chase us into sin. And then there is the kind of evil that, like lions, will simply pounce and devour. C.S. Lewis wrote this: "Good and evil both increase at compound interest. That is why the little decisions you and I make every day are of such infinite importance. The smallest good act today is the capture of a strategic point from which, a few months later, you may be able to go on to victories you never dreamed of. An apparent trivial indulgence in lust or anger today is the loss of a ridge or a railway line or a bridgehead from which the enemy may launch an attack otherwise impossible." And so on the one hand, we've been warned about the nature and the power of sin and that we must be on guard against it. But the good news here surrounds the question of, why did Satan try so hard to kill Jesus? I mean, even from the birth narratives, we know that Satan was trying to destroy him. Why is that? Well, because, again, the good news is that Satan knew what Jesus would do in his life, death, and his victorious resurrection. And so while we are those who still live in the now, we still have a sin nature, we still have to struggle and fight against sin. What Satan knows is that ultimately sin is defeated. He is defeated. And sin will no longer have mastery over us. We are no longer condemned, and we no longer have to fear death because of sin. And so that's very good news for us. And so today I just invite you, as you meditate on these verses, to be mindful, be warned about sin, because it's still true in the Christian life, but yet also rejoice in the good news that Christ has conquered and dealt with our sin. Have a good day.